Now this is something I say frequently on this channel. Most altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin most of the time. Now this is not necessarily true for XRP. XRP is one of the very few altcoins that has been able to keep pace with Bitcoin. Now in this video we're trying to answer the question, does it make sense to now buy XRP over Bitcoin? Is it the better investment? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, the data most people are not considering. Now check this out. This is CoinMarketCap.com /historical. It shows a snapshot of the top 100 cryptocurrencies at the time, their prices, their rankings, etc. Now let's have a look at the 25th of August 2013. That's this ranking over here. XRP is at number 3. Bitcoin, of course, is at number 1. But have a look at all of those other tokens. Litecoin is still around, but nobody talks about Namecoin or Peercoin or Feathercoin or Novacoin or Primecoin, Terracoin. All of those tokens are pretty much worthless today. WorldCoin over here, by the way, is not the WorldCoin we know today. This is another WorldCoin. XRP on that day was worth 0.6 cents. Now XRP is not at number 3, but at number 5. There is Tether and Ethereum as well. And it's worth $1.85. A phenomenal rally of tens of thousands of %. And we are now at a market cap of 112 billion. What we see over here, that's the XRP dominance. Now you might know the Bitcoin dominance, how much of all of crypto is currently in Bitcoin. We can do the same kind of exercise for other cryptocurrencies, here for XRP. How important is XRP in terms of market cap relative to all other cryptocurrencies? This tends to top out somewhere around the 20% mark. It tends to bottom out somewhere around the 1% mark. So there is a lot of volatility. We are currently at close to 4%. Now what we see over here, that's XRP relative to Bitcoin. It appears as if there are multiple double tops and bottoms tend to repeat at very similar levels as well. And if we take the historical average of XRP relative to Bitcoin, then this dotted line is the value. We are currently slightly below that dotted line. So if the equilibrium prevails, if XRP can keep pace with Bitcoin, there might be another rally of 42% from here. Of course, that's a big if. That implies that there's still a potential at least for XRP to make another 800% or so relative to Bitcoin. If that's going to happen anytime soon is questionable, again, given the high market cap. What I find interesting is how much activity there is on the XRP network. It seems like there are close to 500, maybe even 1 million transactions per day. By the way, if this is not your very first time watching this channel, then feel free to subscribe over here. I publish videos regularly, and when you're subscribed, YouTube is more likely to recommend the videos of this channel again. This is very comparable to what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin on average also makes around 500,000 daily transactions. This here is a linear chart. On a logarithmic chart, we can see that percentage-wise, the growth has massively slowed down over the last years. So Bitcoin is not going up anymore because its network usage is growing. It's rather because it's getting adopted as an investment vehicle. And the same fate might hit XRP as well. Here is the TVL on XRPL. So how much capital is currently on the XRP Ledger blockchain on the DeFi applications, the decentralized finance applications on XRP? Unfortunately, there's not much growth. Unfortunately, this is coming down since July, so for the last 6 months. There's also another statistic that I don't like that much. This is the decentralized exchange trading volume on the XRPL EVM system. Now, there is a ported version of XRP on the Binance Smart Chain, and there's close to 500,000 holders on there. But not all of those holders are created equal. What we see on the left, this is the number of wallets with 500 XRP. So at the current price, that's a bit under $1,000. Out of the 500,000 wallets, only 24,000, so less than 5%, own $1,000 worth of the token. The growth has also massively slowed down in the last 2 years. Again, that's on the Binance Smart Chain. In the middle, we see the number of wallets with 5,000 XRP, so that's $10,000 worth of XRP. The same inflection point in 2023, and on the right, we've got the number of wallets with $100,000 worth of XRP. Here we did still see some growth, but in the last year, also those kind of holders have reduced their exposure. We can go to the number of wallets with $1 million worth, $10 million worth, $100 million worth of XRP, again on the Binance Smart Chain. But now the sample size gets so small that we can't really get any clear trends anymore. Now, I always like to look at the amount of bets on a particular asset. Here is Bitcoin, Bitcoin's open interest. So the bets on the derivatives on the asset has grown pretty much the same as the Bitcoin price has. For XRP, that's not true. XRP has actually seen less open interest growth. So there's less short-term capital in the asset, which is a positive thing. The more speculation there is on an asset, the more quickly that capital can also leave the asset, potentially depressing the price. Seeing low open interest, especially over the very long term, is very healthy. Still, the issue with XRP is that it's less liquid compared to other crypto assets of the same size. So when we had the 10th of October flash crash, the XRP price went down much more than the rest. The price fell within a few hours by close to 60%. The overall altcoin market went down by only 49%. And the problem is that a lot of the purchases that had been made during that flash crash were made by the market makers, by automated trading, not by the retail investors. So the market makers bought up a very cheap supply, and they're now continuously slowly selling off that supply. The issue is the potential of how much the price could further fall until the market makers have offloaded everything. So that's a potential drop of XRP of 33%. The altcoin market as a whole might drop by only 18%. So really, no matter what metric we look at, the XRP dominance or XRP relative to Bitcoin, or the potential selling pressure coming by the market makers, short-term XRP is probably not the best bet. Does it make sense to buy when it's close to supports again? Yes, maybe. XRP is one of those few assets where it might make sense to go contrarian when the market is extremely bearish. Unfortunately, right now, I don't think that the market is already bearish enough. Again, XRP relative to most other altcoins is not yet cheap enough. It tends to bounce at lower levels. And while I'm not super bullish on Bitcoin, getting now into XRP when it might underperform Bitcoin by another 70% potentially is quite risky. By the way, if you've been following this channel for a while and you want to make the exact same trades that I do, I'm sharing all of my trades in the premium membership. There's also a co-investment pool. So you can just deposit your capital and you get the same performance that I get. In the last 5 months, we got 17% roughly, while Bitcoin lost 25%. We are making money independent of the general macro, right? So we bet on falling bad altcoins, not necessarily XRP, but other altcoins that tend to underperform much more consistently. And then we bet on rising prices of Bitcoin. So we just play the delta. We try to be completely neutral to the market. And that's how we can perform independent of wherever Bitcoin is going. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish this regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you on Premium. Cheers.